for attending, and it looks like we have a couple people that are coming in that I will admit. And so today's agenda is starts essentially with a discussion on an upcoming testimony that we're being requested. So, and some
Actually, we
questions.
have one item to cover before that's the
Oh, sorry. Okay.
yeah.
Yep.
So the primary purpose of first of all, thank you all for agreeing to the meeting on short notice. You'll remember from the description. The primary purpose of today's meeting is in response to a request that we received from a member of the public who noted to us that the council has not been keeping an updated accounting of its meeting minutes. For what looks like actually a year now. So we are asked to hold a special meeting to publicly acknowledge this and then to provide the records for the missing meetings. This is a request that was made to us pursuant to the state's open meeting law, which permits members of the public to send the public body notice of any violation of the open meeting law, and then to request a cure. I thought this one was pretty reasonable, so we went ahead and called the meeting. So first, consider this our official public acknowledgement that the council had not been providing minutes on its website in pursuant to the open meeting law, and consider this also the council's commitment to getting that done quick, fast, in a hurry. I want to give you all an update on where we are on compiling those. So it looks like generally our practice is to record the meetings and post those recordings. They are linked to the agency's YouTube channel. So in looking for the last few days to try to compile the missing recordings, what I discovered is that because I'm not the owner of the recordings, that I'm not actually permitted to access them. But my very quick and thorough friends at ADS are helping to compile those recordings. So once we have all of them, we'll be updating the website with that information. So that's where we are on that. Based on the open meeting law, we have, I believe, until Monday. I incorrectly said Thursday before, but it's actually until Monday to get those together. That would be 14 days from the point where we received notice, which was whenever 14 days prior was. I'll stop there. Phil, you have a hand up. Phil, you're muted.
It looks like Stephen Whitaker's asked to be admitted, and I believe he's the person who made the request.
Yep.
Yes.
And then Stephen was just admitted. Yeah.
Okay, good.
Great.
Great.
I think that answers my question. I think it's great that somebody's interested. So hear what he has to say.
Well, to that end, if there's any council members who want to weigh in or add anything to that topic, then I'll invite them to do so. And if not, then maybe we could bump up public comment so that if there's anyone else who's in the council who doesn't want to stay for the rest of the meeting, then they can also jump in. So first, any council members who want to join in? Okay. So then with that, what I'll do is invite anybody who's not a member of the council who would like to address the council. We'll move up public comment to now and then handle the rest of our agenda afterwards. So if anyone wants to leave, they can. All right, well, members of the public, you know where to find us. If at some point during the rest of this meeting you'd like to chime in, you can please feel free to do so either by sharing something in the chat, or we'll give another opportunity to speak out loud before we conclude. Council members, how are we feeling on this topic? Are we comfortable with where we are? Just as a recap, ADS and I are working together to compile the missing records. We're going to end up putting them on our council website. And then, of course, going forward, we as a group can have a conversation just about making sure that those administrative tasks are done promptly after each meeting.
I feel good about that, but I don't think anybody really raised their hand to have any questions.
Okay.
Right.
So let's move to the next thing I wanted to share with you all. We got a request from Senate institutions with interest to hear from the council about its recommendations that we submitted to the legislature. The question was who from our group would like to testify? And so I'm posing that question to the group.
I'm available if anybody else would like to attend.
That's great, Mark. Thank you. So that request came. Oh, sorry, Jess, were you going to say something?
Was just going to say I can also attend. I apologize. I did get an email about helping out. I can definitely help with a presentation or do anything like that. I'm not sure content wise I'll be able to help so much, but if there's anything I can do administratively to help, let me know. I can even just put our report into a PowerPoint or quickly if that's helpful or whatever you need.
Thank you, Jess.
Yep.
Very grateful to you both. So what I'm going to do is add both of you to the email thread that we got from the committee assistant, and that way you can work directly with them on scheduling. They had sent me a request, and it was actually for last week, but I had a conflict and couldn't do it. I have since responded to them asking if there is another opportunity for the committee to hear from us. I didn't hear back yet, but I'll loop both of you in and let you take it from there, if that's okay.
Now, did we get any specific or any broad questions that they wanted to discuss or anything that we
Yeah.
need to?
I'll read the request directly and actually put it in the chat.
Okay. So
So
just
we
for
just
everybody's awareness, this is in response to our annual report that we submitted this year, and we had a number of recommendations in there. So
Thanks, Mark. So the request was blah, blah, blah. The committee is interested in a general overview and potential insights / recommendations to the council might have for the committee. I'm sorry, it said on the work and recommendations of the council, et cetera, et cetera. Interested in a general overview and potential insights / recommendations the council might have for the committee.
okay.
Right. So I'll add Jess and Mark to that.
Yep.
And oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I just saying yep. I'm sorry, it's my active listening again. I apologize.
Love it. Thank you. That's all I had for you all today. I'm trying to make your Mondays as easy as possible. So we'll give another opportunity for any public comment. Anyone who's not a member of the council who'd like to address the council. Stephen, I see you with a hand, followed by JC.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Yeah, I was trying to unmute earlier and I seem to have been muted from your side. So I missed the beginning of the meeting. I'm at the location that was in the notice, but there's nobody here. I had trouble finding the login method, but the library notice specified this meeting room on the 4th floor of the 109 State. So
Oh,
how it happened to not have a meeting here is troubling. I filed the open meeting violation because I made requests to the staffer for the AI division and got no response after so many days. So I went and looked today. The agenda for the council still refers to January 24 meeting. And the law requires that minutes be posted on the website 5 days after the meeting, even if in draft form. And then I'm troubled by the fact that the agenda for today didn't even note that you're dealing with an open meeting violation. This is not as simple as, oh, we'll catch up on our minutes. This is like, there's a procedure you have to acknowledge publicly whether or not you claim to have violated open meeting law and what you're going to do about it. And that's all set out in section 314 of Title 1. So I feel like this being handled trivially or being attempted to sweep under the rug. And I also want to comment on the fact that the state is in this dubious procurement for somewhere between a 70 and a 200, $300 million ERP procurement, based on a product that claims to have AI at its core, and it appears to not have been discussed by the council whatsoever. And I can't make sense of that. I really can't make sense of that. I've seen efforts by the Agency of Digital Services. We've got somebody on the screen who's upside down, but I guess he's waiting to talk, or the rotating camera. But the department or the Agency of Digital Services has chronically concealed records relating to this and another project that I've been probing into. That's not your problem unless it also involves AI. But I see in the annual report that came out last week that was sent to the legislature that you're going to work on a procurement policy sometime down the line. It seems like that's horse out of the barn. If you're going to work on a procurement policy, you needed to do it before we released, the Secretary of Administration said that $4 million would be sunk cost if we were to pause this thing at the meeting of the Joint Information Technology Oversight Committee. The Digger article that came out yesterday says that we're only in it for, a lot less than that. So I think this council needs to engage. I'm not even sure you have a quorum here. And did everyone announce themselves at the beginning of the meeting? I'll have to go back and watch the recording. But I think I'm just raising issues that I don't think that the function of this committee is being actively timed with efforts by the agency to procure very expensive systems with risks that have yet to be examined. I read both independent reviews, and I would encourage you to do so. I will try to find email addresses for the other members. The one by Plant Moran and the one by the Joint Fiscal Office Consultant make no mention of AI in a product that's designed around AI. So how can we be so many millions of dollars into a system when y'all haven't talked about it? I'll stop there for now.
Great, thanks for your remarks. I do want to address just the first ones that you made about process and procedure here. The public acknowledgement that you mentioned with respect to the missing minutes and the open meeting violation, we did make that. I think it might have happened before you had been admitted from the waiting room. So for the sake of completeness, we're going to go ahead and do that again. We're publicly acknowledging that it is correct. We have not been providing all of the meetings as, the meeting minutes as required by the open meeting law. And we have made a plan for how to correct that within the statutorily dictated timeframe. So thanks for bringing that to our attention. I am a little saddened at the perception that it looks like we may be looking to as you said, I think sweep it under the rug. I think this group, being a group of nerds, tends to find it really exciting when people are interested in our work. And so we want to embrace that. We want to engage with that. So thanks for bringing that to our attention. And we are going to look to correct that. I think the staff person you had contacted is also on leave, which might be the reason that you hadn't gotten a response. So I'm glad that you did reach out to us at the council, because we can work to fix that. And I think perhaps what we should do then is make it clear to the public that if there's information that maybe the council can use or be helpful with getting, that we have a way to be reached while any key staff may be out on extended leave. So that's something that I can commit to doing. I don't know if anybody else on the council wants to address any of the other statements that the member of the public just made.
I do, yes, please.
Okay, go ahead.
And I just want to make sure I was wondering if John did, because his hand up was up before mine.
No, sorry. I was hoping to hear from the person in the public who had raised it, and this was great. I mean, good input.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I agree. Thank you for the input. And although the staff member, the director of AI, is out on leave, I just wanted to follow up, Mr. Whitaker, and if you had followed a public records request, we should have been able to do that even with that person out. So I just want to make sure, did you actually follow a public records request? Because I would like to track that down for you and get that.
Well, I did send a request to Josiah, and because I've been reprimanded and ignored, but I've sent it to the secretary, and she's refused to address appeals to the head of the agency because I didn't file it in the place that she wanted me to.
Okay.
A web form is unsuitable for telephone input. So, in any case,
Okay.
we've got a
So-
strained relationship with your central office.
Okay. Well, I mean, we'd like to sort out as much as we can. So I think in general, we'll try to find a means where, you know, our records can be requested if needed, without sending to an individual directly, because, you know, be it Josiah or anybody else, they could be out at any given time. So we don't want to delay things. So we can figure that out.
Well, I do have an email address for Susanna, Mark, and Philip. I don't know who JC is, or Chris Curtis, I think is in the AG's office. I like an email address for the ACLU's representative. I don't know who that person is. So maybe Mark, you can send me the contact information for the council.
Yeah, I mean, we generally go through the public records request process right now through the Agency of Digital Services. So I don't think we'll create a new process now. We'll, you know, if there's other information or other means within that current request process that need to be altered, we can work on that. We don't want to make it harder.
I would ask the council to consider requesting its own email address so that it can be responsive to records, unlike the Agency of Digital Services. So I've been stonewalled for many records, statutory required business cases for the SD-WAN, for example. A member of the Joint Information Technology Oversight Committee was stonewalled on getting the independent reviews, which by law were required to be sent to the Joint Tech Committee 3 business days after they were received, and that was received last April, and they didn't get it until days before the November meeting. So with all due respect, Mark, the Agency of Digital Services has a miserable track record with honoring public records requests.
Okay, well, thank you for that. And you know, we're not in a position where we can invalidate or validate, litigate any of that, but we will work on our public records request process with you. Is anybody else have anything? Okay.
All right. Those are the items I think that we came prepared to want to cover. If there are no other items that council members want to raise, or if there's no other public comment, then I'd like to just review some of the action items that we covered here. So first, we said that I am going to keep working with ADS to recover the missing minutes and make sure that those are up on the website. We also said that we would connect Mark and Jessica with the Senate Institutions Committee seeking testimony on the council's recommendations. So I'll do that. And then last, I think, just had a quick conversation about contact with the agency and seeking of records. I think that it sounds like there are some deeper issues that need to be covered, maybe by this council, maybe not. But those are conversations I guess we could have going forward. The last thing that I do want to note is that as far as I know, I don't think that there are more calendar invites for this group for its continued standing meetings. I think that series ended at the end of the calendar year. I might be wrong, though.
It did. So we need to draft another series and do the warnings.
Okay, I think we were doing second Fridays. Was that it?
Yes.
Okay. Does anyone on the council object to continuing with second Fridays? Okay, so it shall be done. So we're going to go ahead and send out a new invite and a new standing warning for that one as well.
Can I ask that are the recordings going to be available as of these missed meetings? I I don't know why you would discontinue the recordings and just go to the minutes, but I would prefer to be able to hear the whole recordings. And that's standard practice in the public safety agency for this.
Do you mean going forward, or do you mean the previous ones that are not currently up?
The previous ones that are not currently up. And
To the
going
extent that those are, to the extent that those are still available and haven't expired, because there is a retention policy that does automatically delete them after a certain amount of time. To the extent that they're available, then yes, we're happy to put them on. If they are not, then we'll have to rely on the minimum that the statute requires, which is going to be minutes. But if there is a recording available, generally this council has made it public and intends to continue to do so, as far as I understand.
Are you saying that somebody intentionally deleted the recordings?
No,
No.
I'm saying that the state's standard retention policy automatically gets rid of items that are older than a certain
Do you know what that is?
duration. I think
Do
it
you know what?
depends actually based on agency. For example, I know that the AHS umbrella has a different retention policy than other agencies do. So generally speaking, we are notified after a meeting has concluded a certain number of months afterwards. Hey, your recording is about to expire. Make sure that if you want to keep it, that you do. So, like I said, to the extent that past recordings are still available, I don't see why this council wouldn't continue its practice of making them available. If they have expired, I don't understand whether or not they're retrievable because I don't work in that part of the state's infrastructure, but we can find out. And if that's a possibility, then we'll make it happen. So I can't speak to each individual recording.
So who would have gotten that notice and made the decision whether to retain it or not?
Well, the person who organizes the meetings and sends the invites generally gets the notice, but we'll
And
do
who
some
is it?
digging. We'll get some digging done internally and figure out exactly which ones were sent by whom and whether they're still available. I think for now, we don't know the status of each of all of those meetings. Perhaps they're all still unexpired. I don't know. So we're going to be doing that digging over the next few days, and whatever's available will go online.
Thank you.
All right.
Just to clarify, Susanna, no one intentionally deletes those. Again, I just want to repeat, no one intentionally deletes those. Those get deleted automatically.
Correct.
So just to respond to Mr. Whitaker, there is not someone who is choosing to delete them.
Okay.
All right. Well, again, thanks everybody for coming on short notice. Please look out for those few items, namely the calendar invites going forward and any other updates about upcoming testimony we may be asked to give. And other than that, we will see you. I guess, should we do one for next Friday or just skip to February? I'm sorry, we're in February. Should we do one for next Friday or skip to March?
Let's, I vote that we do one next Friday. Just so that we don't have to make one up, which would probably be in the summer when nobody's around.
I'm available next Friday.
Then I look forward to seeing you all next week. Thank you all.
Thanks, Susanna.
Thanks, Shoshana.
All right, I'm gonna stop recording.
Thank you.